ACC Tip-Off, presented by T.Rowe Price.
Wednesday afternoon in the Queen City of Charlotte. We welcome you back to our coverage of the ACC Tip-Off presented by T.Rowe Price. We're in the final hours now with the men's programs of the Atlantic Coast Conference. And see who's coming up. Jay Lucas will be here in about 15 minutes. Micah Shrewsbury in a half hour. And then Luke Laux, the new coach at Florida State. And then Marcus Burton and Braden Shrewsbury will be here about 3:30 to help us kind of get to the tape on this Wednesday afternoon in Charlotte. And we welcome you back to our desk set. Great to be with a national champion in Luke Hancock, a national champion in Joel Berry.
And now let's join our ACC commissioner, Jim Phillips.
Arizona State, ladies and gentlemen, is the commissioner of the Atlantic Coast Conference.
As he joined the show.
Jim Phillips, great to see you. How are you, sir?
Great to see you guys.
Yes, sir.
It's time to play some basketball, boys.
Oh, yeah. It's that time.
Well, we got a few other things. We got a few other fall Saturdays, but we're getting there.
That's okay. We're getting close.
Yeah. Feels like hoop season.
It does. And that's the point, Jim. I think it's probably where we ought to start. Basketball's got a little more momentum, it feels like, not just in this league, where it certainly, you can feel it here the last couple of days. Feels like nationally the sport is starting to bounce back a little bit in this evolving landscape we find ourselves in.
No question. It's tangible. Listen, let's cut to the chase. Like, this is the all-time winningest conference in college basketball history.
He just began his ACC tournament tenure in February 2021. Oh, that's great. He used to be the Northwestern Director of Athletics from 2008 to 2021. Then he used to be integral chair of NCAA Division I Council from 2015 to 2017. And he's been doing a lot of things in his life. And of course, hey, doing multiple jobs in his life. That's what I say.
We've had 5 Final Four teams, four different Final Four teams on that. We've had an access problem. We haven't had a winning problem. We've had an access problem in getting more teams in, and we have to do something about that. And so that's the excitement that I feel. And that's why I say let's just cut to the chase, because that's where my head is at. I love our rosters, love the coaches that we brought in, the returning coaches. What we've gone through a transition period. You can't lose Bray, Boeheim, Bennett, Krzyzewski, Williams, Larinaga, Hamilton, and not have a dip. I just don't think you can do that. Those coaches were not excused, right? They were not excused. Those coaches retired as Hall of Fame coaches. So there is momentum. I love how we scheduled. I love what we're doing there, and we are prepared to take a strong step forward in this league back to our rightful place.
It still feels weird to talk about the league being down, and I've been to so many Final Fours lately. It's been great over the last few years. And like you mentioned, so many different teams. I know you mentioned we have to get more teams into the tournament. I love that the league has given more flexibility to the schools, going from 20 games to 18 games. How do you expect them to use that? And then also, I think it's really cool about these late in the conference slate games, like Duke and Illinois last year, that more and more schools are trying to put in a primetime matchup late like that.
The 20 to 18 was intentional. I mean, it was very, we talked about it a great deal. At the end of the day, the mandate was, we'll go to 18, but you better use games 19 and 20 that used to be ACC conference games to build your resume. And that means play really good teams. We're at 72 teams in the non-conference that are Power 4 opponents or Big East opponents. That does not count some of the great tournaments at the beginning of the season when you know who your first game is against is, but you don't know as you go through the bracket who you're going to play. So when you look at that in totality, that's a ton of big-time games. And we'll also play, great mid-majors. But that prepares you. You two guys especially know that prepares you to compete for the championship in the ACC. And if you don't schedule that way, then you're not going to be prepared to get into the, to perform well in the ACC regular season or championship, and it's not going to prepare you for postseason play. So it was intentional. I'm really been proud about how our athletic directors and coaches have embraced that, because I went to them, and part of it was the analytics. You play games 19 and 20, the best your league's going to be is 500. You're going to win the same amount of games as you lose. We have a chance now, I think, to do some things as we've been talking about, that really will help the league. Now we got to go and win some games early on.
Coach, I've been not Coach, Commissioner. I've been harping on the fact that the league, with the coaches that have been lost, you got to show some grace to the league. I'm not asking people to show grace, but when you look at what has left, there is going to be some volatility. And at the end of the day, for me, it's about winning championships. That's what it's about, winning championships and putting yourself in the opportunity to win championships. And it seems like all the emphasis is on the ACC when you look at the Big Ten, and they haven't won a championship since 2000. So my question is, as far as with all the ACC and the coaches moving on, how excited are you about the new coaches coming in? I mean, we got some guys that Jay Lucas, the success that he has, Ryan Odom, success that he has in his previous schools, 2 years. Even Luke Louts coming from the NBA level with 2 NBA championships. I mean, those are winning and successful guys.
Absolutely. Luke Louts coming from Sacramento, but a former player at Florida State, right? So he wore the jersey in the ACC like you two guys have done. He's very capable. Jay Lucas, Texas, Kentucky, Duke, he's ready.
Yeah.
He's ready. Ryan Odom, UMBC. Do we need to even talk about that anymore? At VCU,
Touchy subject.
Right. So he comes in with experience. 3rd head coaching job. Will Wade, 3rd head coaching job. Right. He's back-to-back champs at McNeese State. So I really like those 4 individuals added to the other 14 that all return, and you start to build some of that continuity. But I like our rosters, I like our coaches, like the schedule, and I am fired up about what this season can be for the ACC.
Let me ask you about the scheduling concepts here, because going to 18 obviously was a storyline we touched on in the spring, and we discussed it through the offseason. Now we're going to watch it unfold. It feels like we're spending a lot of time talking about scheduling mechanics, though. It's scheduling chemistry now as it relates to teams that ultimately get to the NCAA tournament. You sat in that committee room. You know what it's like to put those teams on the board, bracket the event, that kind of thing. How positive do you feel about what's being done from a scheduling situation? These neutral site games, the way we do the analytics now on how those work in the net, it feels like those are wins as opposed to playing at home or on the road at times, right?
You follow it really well, Wes. I mean, you do. You studied it, etc. And we spend an awful lot of time. So you have to go to the source. So I've been in the committee room, but it's been a few years. We had Bubba Cunningham, who just came off from Carolina, who is the chair, so he was in it for 5 years. We brought Joe Lenardi in. We brought Jerry Paulman. We brought Kevin Poggle in. So we wanted that analytics look at it about how you build an NCAA-worthy resume. And so those neutral sites matter, right?
Yeah.
And so it's all right. The days of going and trying to win 20 games and getting into the tournament, that's over. But at one point in time, that was the goal. Let's win 20 games, right? So you have to move along with the times. You got to modernize your schedule, and that's what we've done. But it has to be driven by the data, right, and history. Because if you don't look at history, then it's probably going to repeat itself, and then you're not going to be where you want it to be. So we've done that, and those schedules, our schedules across 18 schools reflect that.
Let me ask this real quick as a follow-up. Building the model of the 18 games, you also looked at the data too, correct?
Correct.
That was important, I guess.
It was.
Okay.
It was really important, and we have to try to keep the rivalries, right? We grew as a league, and what you want to do is try to play more games against the league. But in this particular case, because there are so many games that we felt like 18 was best, right? To play 17, and then you have your rival, which you'll play twice.
Okay.
You sound fired up for hoops. I just want to say that. I mean, I think
it's like he's rolling the balls out for practice.
Luke, here's what I would say to you. I have no control of the recruiting piece of it. I have no control of the coaching piece of it. I have no control of any of those kind of things. But I can't sit idly by as the commissioner.
Yeah.
I can just say, hey, you guys got to do better. Like, I have to help them. Yeah. And these are the things that I can do. How we're running our network. Where are we playing the games at? You know, who's on ESPN? Who's on our network? Who's on the CW? All of our great partners that we have. Those things have to be intentional, and you have to feel it. Otherwise, I don't think you're doing the job right, and you're not being fair to the student athletes and the coaches that can't do it by themselves. So this was my responsibility, and so I should suffer, and I have suffered, you know, relative to us coming down a little bit to where we've been recently. I can't stand that. I can't.
I was going to tell you, rest easy a little bit.
Yeah.
Because the optimism that we're feeling.
Yeah, it's good.
It feels different in this experience and doing this for years. These coaches,
ACC
I
is
believe
moving
him
to
way
18
more when you start to
conference
see the
games
stats of
in
the
2025.
international players, the
Yup,
top 100 players, the
18.
transfer portal players that have come into this league. And I don't know, you mentioned this earlier. I don't know if it is Pat Kelsey putting pressure on some of these new hires, but you see the four, right? 3 of those guys are replacing absolute legends, and then Kevin Keatts going to a Final Four. All of those programs, you can tell, have made a massive investment in their basketball programs, and it has showed in their roster construction.
It has, and I was really heartened because you have the rev share that went through at the House case on July 1st, and you're just not sure how people are going to react. Our 18 schools are all in. They're all in on football, men's basketball, women's basketball, and Olympic sports, but they are all in as it relates to the resources necessary to build the roster the right way.
All right, get your ankles taped. You're going in about 3 weeks.
Sounds great.
All right.
Appreciate you guys very much.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Got it.
All right, that's
Thank
from
you.
our
Jim Phillips, the
ACC
commissioner of the ACC with us
commissioner.
here at the ACC tip-off.
And yeah.
When we come back, one of those new head coaches is going to join us here at the desk. We're going to go all the way to